Coverage of the FIA Karting European Championship here at Le Mans. We are going to be covering the action from our guest championship this weekend, the FFSA Championnat de France handikart, which is for disabled drivers. And they're competing in either the H2 or H4 categories. Here is the grid. It is Morgan Lavaux on pole position from Maxime Legere. Third position on the grid should be Alain Nicol from Laurent Flamand. And then it will be Marc Bourguetto and Omar Megari from Christophe Giraud and Gilbert Meneur. Then Benjamin Alexandre and Nicolas Chevasson from Vianney Chantin and Pierre-Yves Baptiste, from Serge Boutet and Zoltan Bassenier, from Corinne Blondeau, Fabrice Dubois and Thibaut Boutez. So all of these drivers are handicapped in various different ways. Most of them are part of the H2 category, which is for drivers who either have one or two faulty limbs. And then for the H4 category, it is for those who have 3 or 4. And in one particular case, the case of the French superstar Fabrice Dubois, he is, I believe, the only competitor on the grid who has all 4 limbs faulty and has a very unique way of driving the karts. His hand is strapped to the steering wheel to steer the kart, and then he moves his arm accordingly. And then for the accelerator and brake, he has a throttle lever and a brake lever, so if he pulls it back, he goes forwards. If he pulls it forwards, it stops. And it is an amazing discipline. This are some great drivers from all over the country. Morgan Lavaux and Maxime Legere. Looks as though we have an absence for Alain Nicol, and it's going to be a false start, so the drivers will get another rolling start. Now, I'm not sure what the problem is for Alain Nicol, but he wasn't able to compete in the morning's race earlier either. So, for some reason or another, there appears to be no competition for Alain Nicol, the number 21, Team 55 from Grand Est. But sadly, he is not going to be competing, so a bit of a problem there, sadly. But fortunately, the racing will continue for the other competitors. But out in front in the earlier race, it was Maxime Legere who grabbed the victory from Val de Loire. And I have a feeling he's going to have a bit more of a challenge this time from Morgan Lavaux, who was fastest in qualifying, the Ask Loic driver who comes all the way from Bretagne Pays de Loire. So let's see who the drivers are likely to be challenging for the victory in this particular one. Well, from the front, obviously, it will be Morgan Lavaux from pole position, and Maxime Legere, the man who won the race earlier on, of course. But there is still obviously going to be a major competition from the other drivers in the field. After this one race, there will be the junior contenders, as they will continue once again. But we have got ourselves a major battle on our hands for the drivers battling away for position once again. So Lavaux, Legere, Flamand, Bourguetto, Megari, Giraud, Meneur, Alexandre and Chevasson, from Chantin, Baptiste, Boutet, Bassenier, Blondeau, Dubois and Boutez. And now we have a race start. And Morgan Lavaux cuts right across on Maxime Legere. No problems there from the start. Laurent Flamand gets through into third position, no problem, as the drivers knit their way through the first few corners. An absolutely heroic start from the drivers as they battle their way through the first couple of corners of the lap. So we're going to have a really exciting battle as the drivers continue to push around the circuit. But Maxime Legere has broken into the lead now from Morgan Lavaux, and in third position, the 76 of Laurent Flamand. So the drivers continuing to battle their way around the circuit, and in fifth position, just in behind Bourguetto, I think that is going to be Christophe Giraud, who's made a very good start, but it's Maxime Legere who leads the way. Lavaux in second place, 76 in third position, that is Laurent Flamand. A very impressive field of drivers this, with the handikarts, of course, for competitors of disability. In the H2 or H4 categories, which is the same as the Paralympics, essentially. H2 refers to drivers who have 1 or 2 faulty limbs. H4 is for drivers who have 3 or 4 faulty limbs. And as long as the karts comply with the FFSA technical regulations, they can pretty much run any system for driving the karts that they particularly choose to. A lot of them have designed their own capabilities of driving the karts so that it suits them themselves. So basically they have adapted the karts to combat whatever difficulties they each individually have. And it means that the racing is very even and very fair, but also an amazing challenge for the competitors. But you've got to remember that none of these guys are in the position of full fitness. So it is quite incredible. Oh, and that's an off into the wall for the 17. Now that, I'm afraid to say, is Nicolas Chevasson. So Nicolas Chevazon has had an off there. Now, I think that is going to be into the barriers on the exit of the chicane. I wonder if he's just lost the cart on the exit of the chicane. Oh no, sorry, that is at the first corner. So the first corner, Maxime Leger continues to lead the race, but Chevazon has gone off at the first corner, unfortunately, so it looks as though the race is over for Nicolas Chevazon. Meanwhile, it is Leger who leads the way from Lavaux and Flamand. So Laurent Flamand continues his run in third position, trying to chase after Morgan Lavaux. And it's going to be a really exciting battle for these competitors as they continue to charge their way further forward. We will see an absolutely fantastic battle for all of the competitors at the sharp end of the field. So Maxime Leger leads the race in front of Morgan Lavaux, and Laurent Flamand runs in third position from the 77. That is Marc Bourguetto, then Christophe Giraud, and Omar Magari, Gilbert Menor, and Benjamin Alexandre. Now the leader, of course, in the H2 category for competitors who are battling away with faulty limbs. Basically, in the H2 category, they have one or two faulty limbs. The leader of that class is, of course, the overall leader. That is Maxime Leger. And of the competitors who have 3 or 4, that is the H4 category, it is Vianney Chansin who leads the way from Fabrice Dubois, Zotel Bassenier, and Thibaut Boutez. And they are actually 1, 2, 3, and 4 in a row, actually. And as Bod Cole rightfully says, great stuff with the handicarts. If you didn't know, you couldn't tell. It's actually absolutely right. You wouldn't necessarily know that these guys were of disability, and they are putting in an absolutely fantastic race. Great to see Laurent Flamand battling away there with the 11 of Morgan Lavaux, as that is Corinne Blondeau, who moves aside and lets the drivers go by. So into the 5th lap they will go, and it's Maxime Leger who leads the race out front. As far as I'm aware, the FFSA Championnat de France Handicart is the only competition, as up the inside goes Flamand to take on Morgan Lavaux and go into 2nd position. I was just going to say, as far as I'm aware, this is the only championship discipline for handicart in Europe. It is absolutely fantastic. I don't think there is a fully disability run karting championship anywhere else in Europe, which is fantastic. And the fact that there is a full grid of karts who are battling away with a very even playing field and lots of good competition and good battles, it shows you that the only limit to what you can do with your body, even if it is ailing you, is your own imagination. Absolutely amazing. These guys and girls doing an absolutely fantastic job racing despite their disability and giving us great entertainment and obviously living the dream themselves. So Maxime Leger leads the way, and the gap has opened up to about 2 seconds as Maxime Leger continues to run up at the front, with the battle between Laurent Flamand and Morgan Lavaux having been very feisty in the last couple of laps. This is the battle for 4th place. This is Bourguetto in front of Christophe Giraud, and behind them is the Algerian, that is Omar Magari. So Omar Magari there in 6th position, trying to stay with the battle. This is for 2nd. This is Flamand and Lavaux. Lavaux on the inside, so Morgan Lavaux trying to come through into 2nd position, but Laurent Flamand in 2nd place, and now got the position, is not eager to let them go through. It's amazing, as Tero Kazistu writes, some drivers have limbs, some don't, but one thing's for certain, the racing is super hot. It certainly is, actually. Great to see the amazing battles these racing drivers are giving themselves and pushing very hard. The 4th place battle's really stirring up now, as Giraud's run a little wide, and that's enough for Omar Magari to get through. So Omar Magari has gone through into 5th position on Christophe Giraud. All it takes is a slight transgression in the braking zone, as that is the 7 getting out of the way. That is Thibaut Boutez, allowing Maxime Leger to continue on his way out front. So far so good this weekend for Maxime Leger. In 2nd place, that is, in 3rd place, that is Lavaux. And he had his hand in the air there. I'm not sure why, but he's suddenly fallen a long way back from Laurent Flamand. Did he accidentally get held up there behind Thibaut Boutez? I wonder if he just got held up, unfortunately, by the number 7. And Thibaut Boutez has actually pulled off the circuit. He's had a problem. So that could have something to do with the fact we are in the position we are in. So Thibaut Boutez, unfortunately, appears to have retired from the race, as well as Nicolas Chevazon. So Chevazon is out of the race, and so too is now Thibaut Boutez. Oh no, they're trying to get Thibaut Boutez going again, but I have a feeling he pulled off at exactly the wrong moment for Morgan Lavaux. So there is Boutez getting back onto the circuit again, you just saw. As the leaders come through, Leger is your leader, Flamand in second from Morgan Laveau, then Borghetto, Magari and Christophe Giraud. So Christophe Giraud running a good race. They are just lapping there. That is, I think that's going to be Zoltán Besenyei, the Hungarian driver, as that is the 48 making his way through. That is, of course, Gilbert Meneur, who is battling his way through towards the top 6, trying to close in on Omer Magari and Christophe Giraud. But these karts are a combination of chassis. There are some Sodis, some TBs, there are some Mad Crocs, and a couple of Xperiot as well as a Cosmic. Sorry, an Xperiot as well as 2 Cosmics, actually. And the engines, well, they are either Iamis or Rotaxes, depending on which engine the drivers have chosen to go. Leading the championship at the moment, I do believe, is the race leader, Maxime Leger, who is the reigning champion as well. So the battle is obviously going to be very exciting between these drivers up at the front end of the field. Looks as though Christophe Giraud is going to try and make his bid on Omer Magari, the Algerian. And obviously their race is going to be centre stage and a nice warm-up for the Junior and OK European Championship final tomorrow. So it'll be really interesting to see what these guys do. In the last 2.5 laps of the race, Maxime Leger is trying to stretch out the gap in front of Laurent Flamand. And then Morgan Laveau is there in front of Borghetto and Magari as they start to run their way around the outside of, that's got to be Serge Boutet, I think, the 94 that they are just lapping. So Serge Boutet not giving them too much of a job, although obviously the drivers do have to be very alert when they're lapping traffic, which happens a lot more in this category than some of the others. But gracious goodness me, Morgan Laveau has caught right up to the back of Laurent Flamand. So Laurent Flamand had made that big gap over his rival Morgan Laveau as a result of Voltes pulling off. Laveau is going to try and hold it right round the outside and make the lunge on Laurent Flamand. That was brave. The only person I've seen manage that all weekend is Joe Turney on the start line. It's not as easy when you're 3 or 4 laps into a race, never mind on lap 10. But Morgan Laveau is going to try and make his move on Laurent Flamand. And Flamand is actually going to find it very, very tricky to get Morgan Laveau off his tail. So as they come through up to the hairpin, is this going to be the move from Morgan Laveau? Well, Laveau is going to get an opportunity on the inside. Maybe no, he just has to back out of it. So Laurent Flamand obviously trying to hold on to that second position spot. Meanwhile, Borghetto is being caught by the Algerian Omer Magari. So Magari is there in 5th position on the Sodi kart, trying to get one over on the Handy Technology CRG of Marc Borghetto in 4th position. They come out of the final turn and down the main straight to begin the final lap. A battle for 2nd, a battle for 4th, as Morgan Laveau comes in quite hot in behind Laurent Flamand. He's made up a lot of the deficit, but Maxime Leger up front, still in the 57.2s, and going very well indeed from his point of view. So Maxime Leger is running beautifully at the front end of the field from Flamand and Laveau, who are still dueling over 2nd place. And it looks as though it's going to be a perfect run from Maxime Leger. He won the earlier races. They lapped Corinne Blondeau for the 2nd time. We're on the final lap, and Maxime Leger is already down the back straight. You can just see him up in the distance. And there he is, closing in on the 94, in fact, of Serge Boutet to put a lap on him. But an absolutely sensational race it has been for Maxime Leger. Out of the final hairpin once again. And Maxime Leger is going to take the victory. That's 2 out of 2. And he's absolutely delighted about it. So Maxime Leger is very, very happy about his performance and a great victory. A really strong and controlling drive there from the Val de Loire superstar. Really good to see him put on a show on the Sodi Rotax of his. But Maxime Leger doing a sensational job. Laurent Flamand and Morgan Laveau will be in the top 3. And the 77 of Marc Borghetto in front of Christophe Giraud. It's really good entertainment to have the FFSA Championnat de France handikart here, because it really does give you an idea of just how hard some people work to go motor racing. Maxime Leger take the victory. Laurent Flamand and Morgan Laveau from Marc Borghetto and Christophe Giraud. Omer Magari and Gilbert Meneur from Benjamin Alexandre. Vianney Chantin is the first of the H4 drivers home from Pierre-Yves Baptiste. Fabrice Dubois comes home in 11th place ahead of Serge Boutet. And then Zoltán Besenyei and Corinne Blondeau, with retirement, sadly, from Thibault Poltez and Nicolas Chevazon. And then Alain Nicole, for some reason, has not been able to take up the start for either of the heats from 3rd position. but really exciting battles and a fantastic bit of sportsmanship from all of the competitors across the H2 and H4 disciplines. Their motor racing is pure love and passion, and we share in that love. Absolutely brilliant stuff from the competitors in the Championnat de France handikart, and a massive thanks to the FFSA for allowing them to race with us. It's been an absolutely fantastic spectacle to watch, and we've seen some amazing stories unfold, and we've been listening to some of the most amazing tales of daring do from the competitors, many of whom have adapted and homologated those karts themselves in order to be compliant to racing regulations and obviously compliant to their own disabilities and needs. So fantastic stuff. Next up on the circuit, we are going to continue on with the battle in the qualifying heats for the junior and OK categories, as the second half of the Saturday of Thunder is going to continue on. And those clouds overlooking the sky are suggesting that there is a slim chance we may not just get metaphorical thunder, it might be literal.